You think you know this movie. Rich husband, crazy wife, hot housemaid. It's the oldest thriller trope in the book, right? A tale as old as time, where the new girl gets caught in the crossfire of a toxic marriage. Wrong. I'm telling you, this movie starts normal, and then about halfway through it completely loses its mind and flips the entire script. By the time the credits roll, you'll realise the person you thought was the victim was actually the mastermind, and the guy who looked like a hero? He's the real monster. No cap. Get ready, because we're breaking down The Housemaid, and what happens next is straight up insane. Our story kicks off with Millie, a young woman who's low-key desperate for a fresh start. She's fresh out of the slammer. Yeah, she did time for a murder, but we'll get to that crucial detail later. And she lands an interview for a live-in nanny gig with the super-rich Winchester family. Right away, you see the dynamic. There's Andrew, the husband. This dude is handsome, wealthy, and just oozes perfect catch energy. He's the kind of guy who listens to his wife's problems, comforts the staff, and still manages to look good doing it. He's the picture of calm. Then there's Nina, the wife. She is a walking, talking red flag. She's erratic, she's demanding, and she treats Millie like dirt from the jump. She's high-key giving off unstable rich lady vibes, and you immediately think, okay, she's the villain. Millie is just trying to keep her head down. She's on parole, so she can't afford to mess up. But the house itself is screaming that things are off. During the house tour, Nina gives Millie a room with a mini fridge, which is nice, but also a deadbolt that only locks from the outside. When Millie asks for the key, Nina acts all innocent, like, oh my god, what kind of monsters are we? I'm thinking, yeah, what kind of monsters are you? The weirdness doesn't stop there. Nina constantly talks about Andrew, but it's less my husband and more Andrew designed this, Andrew likes that, like she's reciting a cult manifesto. Every single detail of their life is attributed to him, making him seem like a god in his own home. There are also these creepy felt dolls of the family that Nina keeps, and they just add to the unsettling vibe. Naturally, Andrew steps in as the saviour. He's always there to smooth things over, to apologise for Nina's moods. He's the classic knight in shining armour, and Millie, who's been through the ringer, falls for it. But this is where things go off the rails. Nina starts actively sabotaging Millie. She makes her buy non-refundable tickets for a day she knows Millie can't go, then demands the cost come out of Millie's wages. Andrew, being the hero, steps in, says he can't get a refund and suggests he and Millie go together. You don't do that, sir! The tension is fully palpable. They go, they have fun, and then back at the hotel, Andrew keeps his word and books her a separate room, right across the hall. When Nina sends Millie a barrage of insane, firing texts, Millie goes to Andrew for help, and the way he helps her? Yeah, he sleeps with her. The whole scene is set to this weirdly romantic music, which just makes it feel even more wrong. He's cheating on his pregnant wife with the live-in nanny, and he acts like it's a romantic breakthrough. Meanwhile, Nina's cruelty escalates. She frames Millie for stealing her car and clothes, things she specifically told Millie to use. Andrew, of course, saves the day, but it leads to a massive fight where he kicks Nina out of the house. It looks like a win for Millie. The crazy wife is gone, and she gets the perfect, rich, understanding man all to herself. They start their little smash fest around the house, and Andrew doesn't even ask what she was in prison for. He just wants to take care of her. Girl, you need to run. You've seen the blueprint of what you can become, and you're still into this dude? The first real clue that Millie is in deep trouble comes when one of the other rich moms mentions that Nina's phone, the one she gave to Millie, has a tracker. Loki, Nina knew about the affair the whole time. She knew Andrew and Millie were together in the city. She's been playing a long con, but why? Now slow down, because this is the moment that changes everything. We cut to Nina driving away from the house, screaming, and then that scream turns into a hysterical, maniacal laugh. Here's the crazy part. Nina was never the villain. The movie flips the script and we get Nina's side of the story, often told through a letter she's writing to her daughter. She's been trapped in a systematic, terrifyingly controlled abusive marriage for years. Andrew isn't perfect. He's a sociopath who demands perfection. His abuse isn't loud, it's methodical. He sets impossible standards and metes out punishment when they aren't met. We learn the chilling details. When Nina was late for a hair appointment, he locked her in that room. To get out, he forced her to pluck 100 strands of her own hair, and if she messed up, she had to start over. Truly psychotic behaviour. He institutionalised her. He set her up to look like she tried to harm her own child, and he used his wealth and charm to make sure no one would ever believe her. Even his mother, Evelyn, a walking embodiment of perfectionism, reinforces the system that created him. Nina's cruelty toward Millie? It was a performance. A carefully calculated act designed to make Andrew shift his obsession. She needed a replacement, a new target, so she could finally escape. And she chose Millie for a reason. Nina knew about Millie's past, that she was a survivor who fought back and killed her attacker. Millie was imprisoned for bashing in the head of a dude who was assaulting a girl. Nina was betting that when Andrew finally showed his true colours, Millie wouldn't freeze up. She would fight. And that's exactly what happens. Andrew, now alone with Millie, drops the facade. When Millie accidentally breaks a piece of his precious family china, a small, seemingly insignificant mistake, he loses it. He locks her in the room and forces her into a grotesque act of self-punishment, mirroring the psychological torture he put Nina through. At this point, nobody is safe anymore. Millie realises she's not in a rom-com. She's in a horror movie. But Nina's gamble pays off. Millie is a fighter. The climax is a brutal, messy showdown. Millie uses her street smarts and her survival instincts. She turns the tables on Andrew, using his own tools of control against him. She uses the deadbolt, the isolation, and the very house he designed to trap him. The details are gnarly, but the result is clear. Andrew, the man who thrived on control and perfection, finally meets his end. The ending isn't a clean victory, it's morally complicated. Nina and Millie, two women who were forced into impossible choices by a powerful man, survive. The final scene with the police hints at the broader, more chilling truth. Andrew wasn't an isolated case. He was protected by a system that values image over humanity. The real meaning of the ending is that survival sometimes requires becoming something you never wanted to be, and that the biggest monsters often look like the safest people in the room. The cycle of abuse ends not through institutional justice, but through the shared, desperate actions of two women who recognise the danger. Honestly, this movie hits hard. What it does well is the slow burn reveal. The way it makes you hate Nina for the first hour, only to realise she's the smartest person in the room, is straight up insane. The casting is perfect, especially the way Andrew's actor can switch from charming to terrifying with just a look. He's a masterclass in quiet menace. What might feel weak or confusing is the pacing in the middle. The whole affair part drags a little and you might be screaming at Millie to wake up. But you have to remember, that's the point, Andrew's manipulation is that good. It's a commentary on how easy it is to fall for the charming abuser when you're desperate for a saviour. If you're into dark psychological thrillers that mess with your head and have a strong, unsettling message about power and abuse, this one's a no-brainer. It's not perfect, but it stays in your head long after you watch it. It's a movie that forces you to question every single thing you see, and it's a brutal reminder that monsters don't always look like monsters. Go watch it, and then come back and tell me what you thought of that final twist. No cap.